正解。
Rebirth of the Malicious Empress of Military Lineage. Chapter 90, Family. Even if mother does not care about me, can it be that one can also be reckless with younger brother's life? With those calm words, Ren Wanyun's curses abruptly stopped. She looked at Shen Yuan blankly. What did you say? Now that the entire Shen residence is implicated in, the first to bear the brunt would be our second household. Younger sister's matter implicate us entirely. Even if father and me were to lose our official position, mother would not care, but if it involved younger brother, would mother not care? Shen Yuan said. Ren Wanyun looked at him, and in a swift moment there was some panic in her expression. What does this got to do with Bo-er? Bo-er is still so young. How would he be related to this matter? No one is more innocent than Bo-er, mother. Everyone is innocent in this matter. Shen Yuan laughed grimly. Do not tell me I am not innocent. He tolerated and continued, Mother, the rumors has spread out more intense, and if the Shen family provoke matters now, one fear that the entire residence would suffer. He looked at Ren Wanyun and said in a serious tone, even if mother have the same feelings of ending in mutual destruction, could it be to also include younger brother? Ren Wanyun's body shook and was unable to suppress the trembling. One knew that she indeed had that mindset. It was admittedly true that the hate she had for Shen Miao was unusual, but the entire Shen residence's indifference, Shen Gui's heartlessness, old Shen Furen's pragmatic acts, and the third household's detached eyes of a bystander made Ren Wanyun felt a great anger towards the Shen residence. She even thought that even if Shen King implicated the entire Shen residence, it would not matter if the eldest household could be pulled into it and die together. As such, it can be considered revenge. But Shen Yuan happened to point out one thing, which is that if the Shen residence really suffered a calamity, even Shen Yuan Bo would not avoid it. Since the ancient times, the emperors loved the eldest sons and the commoners doted on the youngest son. Shen Yuan was intelligent since young, and Ren Wanyun did not really worry over him. But Shen Yuan Bo was young and naughty, so Ren Wanyun doted him to the core. If Shen Yuan Bo were to also lose his life, it was be something that she was not willing to see. Then, Yuaner, what should we do? Ren Wanyun looked at Shen Yuan, as if the state of madness she was in had left without trace, and as if Shen Yuan was her life-saving straw, her backbone. Mother, one cannot be greedy. Shen Yuan looked at her as his eyes were filled with brutal cruelty. You can only choose one, younger sister or younger brother. Outside the De Capital's government office's prison, there stood a guard outside. In the case of the extermination of the entire Prince Yu's household, Shen King was indeed in a very awkward position. On the surface, she was also a pitiful person, as she only just married when the massacre happened and fortunately managed to escape with her life. But in the depths of the investigation, there were many areas of doubts in the case, and perhaps it was possible that Shen King was involved. Even if she was not involved, with all the different guesses and rumors, it was enough for her name to become the topic of conversation in the entire street. As such, it would have been cleaner if she had died in the massacre case. Emperor Wenhua's attitude towards the case was also intriguing. Even though it was said to have been immediately investigated, but the matter was given directly to the administrator of the capital and the government office, and the emperor had not even asked about it at all. With Emperor Wenhua's kinship feelings with Prince Yu, it would absolutely not be easily pass off. Since it had always been difficult to guess the monarch's mind, the officials below were unable to guess what the emperor wanted to do and could only send Shen King to prison, pending for trial. This was actually somewhat ridiculous. The only surviving female from a massacre case who was unarmed, was regarded as the culprit. Sometimes the matter of the world could be so strange. When Shen Miao reached the doors of the prison, the warden was surprised for a moment when he saw her and went forward to speak. Who is it? My young lady is the fifth young lady of the general's residence's Shen family. Jing stepped forward and placed a sachet stuffed with silver onto the hands of the warden and said, "Here deliberately to visit eldest young lady." Shen Miao took the token that Shen Kaiyu gave her from her sleeves and showed it to the warden. When that person took a look, he immediately greeted respectfully, "So it is fifth Shen young lady." Shin Zin's prestigious reputation was well known in Ding capital, let alone a warden. Even officials would also give him leeway. I want to take a look at eldest sister. Would trouble Darren to show the way? Shin Miao said. That warden said with a smile. Originally one cannot come to visit these few days, but since fifth Shin young lady had spoken, then do come with this lowly one. Finishing, he instructed the guards who were guarding and brought Shen Miao in, leaving Jings and Guyu outside. Now Shen Qing's identity was awkward and no one could predict if there was an opportunity to remove the crime off, but even if the crime was removed, saddled with that kind of reputation, Shen Qing would have to live on distressful. In fact, fifth young lady need not have to worry too much. The warden said with a smile, even though eldest Shen young lady is still in prison, once the truth is uncovered, the eldest Shen young lady would not be implicated. He thought that since Shen Miao came to visit Shen Qing, the relationship between the two sisters would be very close. No matter what, as long as Shen Miao felt better, it was considered as selling a favor to Shen Zin. Shen Miao nodded her head, thanking Darren's guidance. When a stone ladder appeared in front, the warden stopped his steps and said, eldest Shen young lady is held below there. Fifth young lady can head down to talk to her. My subordinates and I will be waiting outside, so do not be too long. Shen Miao thanked him again, and after the warden and the few guards stepped aside, then she slowly took the steps down. Walking down the long steps, there was a cell right at the end which had iron railings all around. There was only a fist-sized window in the cell and seemed to be where important criminals were located. There was a row of torches against the stone wall, but the torches were faltering, making the silhouette look strange. The cell was covered with straw and there was a dirty quilt bed inside. Most likely the quilt was infested with lice, as one could vaguely see some small black material on it. And the person who had the quilt around was sitting on the straw with the head buried in the knees, unsure if the person was asleep or not. Shin Miao looked quietly for a long time before walking in and reaching her hands out to tap the iron railings a few times. The person who had their head in their knees suddenly raised her head and showed a slightly frightened expression. When one saw clearly that it was Shen Miao, the frightened look turned into anger as she shouted out with gritted teeth, "Shen Miao, it is me." Shen Miao gently took a step back and avoided Shen Qing's scratches when she rushed up. Her guesses were indeed correct, as in the next moment, Shen Qing rushed up and reached out her hands past the iron railing. She wanted to grab on to Shen Miao, but her action was futile as the railings restrained her. It seems that you have not learned to be smart. Shen Miao laughed out and looked at her calmly and unruffled. Do not waste the effort. It is useless. Shen Qing put her hands down resentfully and suddenly burst into laughter. Shen Miao, are you here to put a demonstration in front of me? Are you here to see how miserable I am? Let me tell you, there will be a day where you will be 100 times more miserable than me. What a pity. Shen Miao looked at her with pity. Even if there is really such a day, you will not be able to see it. Shen Qing was surprised for a moment and there was fear in her eyes. She had been locked in this cell for a few days and she was unclear what was going on. She had been spoiled all this while and thought that night with Prince Yu in Wolong Temple was the most painful thing in life, but did not think that subsequent events would be even more frightening. Pregnancy, returning banquet, marriage, and then the night of the bloody massacre. And now she was reduced to a criminal in prison. She suppressed the uneasiness in her heart and said, "Do not think of lying to me. This matter had nothing to do with me at all, so how can it implicate me? How could you not understand?" Shen Miao squatted down and looked at Shen Qing in the cell. It was like she was the adult who was looking at a disobedient child as she shook her head lightly. The entire Prince Yu household was exterminated and only you survived. No matter if there was a conspiracy, no matter if you have anything to do with the perpetrator, as long as you are alive, you have become the greatest sinner on earth. How could I have any relation with the perpetrator? Shen Qing retorted, why would I want to exterminate the entire household of Prince Yu? I have no animosity and grievance with him. Even if there is, it is you. She suddenly stopped halfway as she was speaking and looked at Shen Miao incredulously. "You did it?" Shen Miao's lips slightly raised up. "It is you who did it?" Shen King grabbed the iron railings in a moment and looked at Shen Miao. "It is you. You have a deep grudge against Prince Yu, and it is you who sent people to exterminate his entire household. You deliberately kept me alive so that I will be the scapegoat." "Shen Miao, your schemes are very good." She looked at Shen Miao and felt shocked and angered. Shock, because Shen Miao was actually insidious to this point, and anger, because her fall was all attributed to Shen Miao. "Eldest sister, evidence is everything." Shen Miao slightly smiled, "But from the words that you just said, it seems that being imprisoned for the past few days had made one smarter." Although she had denied Shen King's words, but in Shen King's eyes, Shen Miao had already admitted to the crimes she had committed. Shen King raged. "What are you thinking of doing?" "Shen Miao, you will not succeed. My father and older brother will definitely come to save me. They will find the evidence, and the person that would finally sit in this prison is you, not me. And at that time, I will definitely think of ways to make a mincemeat out of you." "You are still hoping for Second Shu and Shen Yuan?" Shen Miao ridiculed. "Second Shu is so afraid of being implicated that he did not even bother to come and take a look at you. As for Shen Yuan," Shen Miao smiled, "he could have good career prospects and have a boundless future, but because of you, troubles kept lining up." "You really think that he will want to save you?" Shen King glared at Shen Miao in anger, but she knew in her heart that what Shen Miao said was not wrong at all. She was very clear of what kind of character Shen Gui had. Earlier on, when Shen Gui married her off to Prince Yu, Shen King saw it clearly that Shen Gui was like old Shen Furin to the bones and knew how to draw on the advantages and avoid disadvantages. As for this second older brother, that was inscrutable since young, even though he had helped to solve a lot of trouble for her. This time it affected Shen Yuan's career prospects. Would Shen Yuan really help her? "Shen Miao, stop with your nonsense." Despite an uneasy heart, Shen King still spoke forcefully. "My mother will not watch me with folded arms. My mother would definitely think of ways to rescue me. As long as my mother steps in, with my second older brother's ability, it is not difficult for the truth to be unveiled, and at that time, the unlucky ones would be you guys." "Second Shen?" Shen Miao sighed. "I know that Second Shen treats you very well, and you are the pearl in Second Shen's eyes, and if you suffer anything bad, Second Shen would definitely protect you with her life, just like in the beginning with me." Shen King's unsettled emotions were a little alleviated and was a little complacent. Ren Wanyun had always been indulgent to her, and among the 3D daughters, Chen Rikayu was slightly strict with Shen Yu, and Luo Zuyan was seldom together with Shen Miao from the beginning. It was only Ren Wanyun who was 100 times indulgent to Shen King. This was because when Shen King was born, Ren Wanyun had a difficult birth, and it was not easy for both mother and daughter to be safe and sound, so Ren Wanyun was very meticulous with this daughter. Even when Shen King initially wanted to fight for Prince Ting, Fu Ziyu, Ren Wanyun did not say half a word of opposition. Even if other treat her indifferently now, as long as Ren Wanyun was present, she would not let her be wronged. Shen King's smile had yet to raise when she heard Shen Miao's laughing voice. "But eldest sister, do guess that between you and seventh younger brother, who has a higher position in Second Shen's heart?" Shen King was stumped for words and stared at Shen Miao without speaking. Shen Miao looked at her gently. "Everyone in our residence know how much Second Shen doted on seventh younger brother. If because of you, seventh younger brother need to be compensated, why do not you guess if Second Shen is willing to take this risk? In fact, I also look forward to knowing the answer." "Not sure if eldest sister is able to answer it for me?" Shen Miao looked at her gently. "Everyone in our residence know how much Second Shen doted on seventh younger brother. If because of you, seventh younger brother need to be compensated, why do not you guess if Second Shen is willing to take this risk? In fact, I also look forward to knowing the answer. Not sure if eldest sister is able to answer it for me." Shen Qing's body began to tremble violently. She knew clearer than anyone else Shen Yuanbo's position in Ren Wanyan's heart. Because of Ren Wanyan's current age, it was naturally precious to have Shen Yuanbo. Moreover, even though Shen Yuanbo was naughty, he was likable to everyone. The most important point was that Shen Yuanbo was a son. In this troubled world, it had always been particularly difficult for a female to get ahead, and in Ren Wanyan's heart, she would always be more biased towards her little son. If she would really need to make a sacrifice, Shen Qing was well aware that she is the one that would be given up. But even if her heart was filled with fear, Shen Qing was not willing to show her weakness when facing Shen Miao. She looked at Shen Miao and coldly scoffed. "What you want to say could be that you were about to say is that no matter which route, I would still die?" "Shen Miao, do not you forget that I still have the royal flesh and blood in my abdomen. Since the blood of the child in my abdomen is of the royal family, no mishap will befall on me." Finishing this sentence, Shen Qing gently caressed her abdomen and a warm smile appeared on her face. This really made one felt somewhat stunned, as of a few days ago, she still beat her own abdomen and wished that this bastard was not there. "Eldest sister, you really think that he is your life-saving amulet?" Shen Miao light fluttering gaze landed on Shen Qing's lower abdomen and lightly said, "If it was the past, with the value the emperors placed on Prince Yu of first rank, naturally the child would be saved. But now, one fear that it would become your life-taking amulet." "What do you mean?" Shen Qing did not understand what Shen Miao was talking about, but from Shen Miao's determined-to-win gaze, a fear was born in her heart. Her intuition was that Shen Miao had not lied to her, but why would the child in her abdomen would be her life-taking amulet? Naturally Shen Qing would not know that some of the rumors had spread into the palace and into the emperor's ears, so some things had quietly changed. If it was the past, in order to preserve the blood of Prince Yu, Emperor Wenhua would not bury her as a company that early. But now, since the seed of suspicion had grown, the emperor had put up a cruel and unrelenting attitude, and one fear that he could not wait to cut the weeds and eliminate the roots, sending Shen Qing and the spawn in her abdomen to hell earlier. Seeing Shen Miao smile without speaking, Shen Qing panicked and snapped, "Shen Miao, I have no animosity and grievance with you. Why do you do such harm to me?" "No animosity and grievance?" It was as if Shen Miao had heard a funny joke. She turned towards Shen Qing. "When you, mother and daughter, schemed against me, was there any thoughts that there was no animosity or grievance?" "You." Shen Qing was unable to reconcile with her heart, and her gaze that was looking at Shen Miao was like one who was looking at some terrible person. She said, "You harmed me. You will definitely not die easily. The wheel of fortune is always turning, and there would be a day that your first household would also be disowned dogs and trampled by others. You all will not die easily." Speaking till the end, her voice became sharp as if it was the only way to hide the fear in her heart. At her verbal abuse, Shen Miao's expressions did not change at all. She softly said, "The saying of the reversal of the wheel of fortune is not false, but to wait for the heavens to reverse it would be somewhat complicated. In the world there are people that scheme, and fortunately their efforts are not wasted, as those traps get used one way or another." The so-called not dying easily that Shen Qing said, she had already tasted it in her previous life. At that time Luo Zuyan had already passed away, Shen Qiu had drowned, and in the first household of the Shen family, Shen Xin and all the servants were jailed. From what the eunuchs of the Cold Palace said, Shen Xin was squatting in the most horrible jail, and his shoulder blades were pierced with chains to prevent him from escaping, and was also branded with a convict word on his cheek. For a general who kills on the battlefield, this was undoubtedly the thing that was most unacceptable. If one were to say that the physical torture could be endured, then the psychological humiliation was the thing that was most painful to Shen Xin. And at that time, she was locked up in the Cold Palace, Watching Fu Ming being pushed down from the position of the crown prince and watching Mai Furan being immensely pleased with herself, Shen Qing was already somewhat confused. She was after all young and had not experienced much, and Ren Wanyun had always doted on her while growing up. Once something out of the ordinary happened, her ability to bear with it would often be very, very low. She screamed, "Shen Miao! You are not human. You will not die easily." Shen Miao quietly looked at her. "Shen Qing, how is the feeling of seeing each of your hopes smashing into pieces?" Shen Qing looked at Shen Miao with hatred. "When I was at the end of the road and the path was exhausted, you came to send me away, so this time, I will send you off," she said with a gentle smile, but there was no smile in her eyes at all. But her pupils were brighter than the stars, like black clouds had enveloped in the other person's body. In the last lifetime before she died, she saw Shen Qing and Shen Yu standing behind Mai Furan with a sweet smile on their faces. The first household of the Shen family's end was miserable, and the second's and third's household's contribution could not go unnoticed. She retook this arduous lifetime, so that she can pull down the individual poisonous snake fangs that have yet to grow out, then slowly torture them. Shen Qing did not understand her words and bitterly bit her teeth down as she said, "Shen Miao, you will not have a good death." Shen Miao stood up and looked condescending at Shen Qing. Shen Miao's slightly delicate face in the sinister cell had a kind of dignity and elegance that one could not look up close, and in that majesty, there was also a touch of a dark violent manner, especially the sneer on her lips. As the edges of the purple dress fluttered in front of the prison cell, that figure gradually disappeared, and the last words that Shen Qing heard was, "Shen Qing, you are the first one." In the eastern courtyard of the Shen residence, the day was of an exceptional silence. Shen Gui stayed in the room with a dark look on his face. He had inquired the eunuch from the palace, and Shen Qing's matter was a difficult one to settle. Most likely there were some problems between Emperor Wenhu and Prince Yu, and this question was more graver than the officials' guesses. Now that there was no room to advance or retreat, if one were to meddle with Shen Qing's matter, one feared that Emperor Wenhu would not be happy, and if one did not care about Shen Qing, the rumors would get more intense, and when there was trouble, the first one people came looking for was him. He continued to let out long sighs and short gasps, so An Yinayang walked to his side to gently massage his shoulders. Shen Gui was lusty and had many concubines in the residence, but Ren Wanyun's discipline was tight, and after all this time those concubines had not given birth to any children. Even if they were to be lucky enough to give birth, they would all die early. However, this Wan Yinayang gave birth to a daughter, Shen Dongling, under Ren Wanyun's eyelids, and to be able to raise her up, it could be said of her abilities. At the beginning the servants in the residence spread out that if Wan Yinayang had not given birth to a daughter but a son, one feared that she would have the status to fight with Ren Wanyun. Wan Yinayang and old Shen Furan were songstress by birth, and Ren Wanyun despised her. Thus old Shen Furan also felt annoyed by her identity. But Wan Yinayang was indeed famous, and in the beginning when she was the pillar of the troupe, she was very charming and seductive, that when she was in the role of a vivacious female in the shows, one could not mention how beautiful she was. Ever since the birth of Shen Dongling, Wan Yinayang had been staying in her little courtyard and behaving herself as if she had disappeared from everyone's eyes, that even the weak and sickly Shen Dongling also did not leave the courtyard often, only coming out to meet others during the New Year festivals, and was almost forgotten by others. Now that Shen Qing had met with a mishap, old Shen Furan was unhappy, and Ren Wanyun often quarreled when she saw Shen Gui, so Wan Yinayang managed to stage a comeback. These days, she had served Shen Gui so comfortably that one felt unspeakable disgust when looking at Ren Wanyun and daughter. Master is still worrying about the matter of eldest young lady. Wan Yinayang was massaging Shen Gui's shoulders and at the same time soothing, "Master, do not need to overly worry, since eldest young lady had never done such a thing. There would be a day where the truth will come to light." Shen Gui sighed. No matter if she did it or not, this matter is not that simple already. This time King may even implicate everyone. When Wan Yinayang heard this, she spoke deeply worried. Although it is like that, There should be a black and white reasoning. She continued, it does not matter to this concubine and third young lady as one would just need to follow master, life and death would not matter. But second young master and seventh young master are still so young, if they are implicated, what can be done? Shen Gui's expression moved and started to feel irritation in his heart. Even though he was selfish to his bones and was also greedy and lustful, he felt a great hope towards the two of his sons. No one knew of the reason why, but when it come to his generation in the Shen residence, heirs were not thriving at all. The most proudest thing for Shen Gui was that his household had two sons. Towards daughters, in Shen Gui's eyes, they were only things that could be exchanged for one's interest, but as for sons, they were treasures to carry on the ancestral line. Now to compensate his pair of sons for Shen King, a daughter, made Shen Gui felt enraged. This concubine heard that Tai Tai is currently running around for eldest young lady. One pities the parent's heart. If it was not that this concubine's power is weak, would really hope to be of help. Wan Yinayang continued speaking. What help? When Shen Gui heard Wan Yinayang mentioning Ren Wanyan, he felt annoyed and said, it is all because of that crazy shrew who taught a daughter without any sense of honor and shame. Now to even implicate everyone, really do not know what can be done. Wan Yinayang seemed to be scared and suddenly shrink back. The hands that was massaging the shoulders also stopped and only softly said after a pause she said, Master must not blame Tai Tai. After such a big incident had happened, Tai Tai must not be feeling good. If anything happened to eldest young lady in the present and she did some unreasonable thing, Tai Tai will be very sad. Shen Gui impatiently said, what things can she do? Suddenly the voice paused and Shen Gui slowly though over, unreasonable things? Wan Yinayang's eyes flashed but her voice sounded worried. Such a thing happened to a little young lady who is now locked up in prison. Eldest young lady has been pampered and spoiled since childhood, so it is possible that she is unable to comprehend. It is better to let someone go and persuade her from doing something silly. Shen Gui suddenly stood up and looked outside. The sun was about to set and the skies turned dark, particularly early in the winter days. He said, I will go out for a while. It is so late. Where is master going? Wan Yinayang asked. There are things to do. Have dinner by yourself. Shen Gui strode out, until when Shen Gui's figure was unable to be seen. Wan Yinayang then closed the doors and went to the table to sit down. The dishes for the dinner were a dazzling lineup. In the eastern courtyard where it was gloomy all the time, her food was however extremely delicate. But who knew that in previous years she ate moldy bread and stale porridge and was harmed by Ren Wanyan so badly that even when Shen Dongling was sick, there was no money at all. At that time, how must her heart had felt? The wheel of fortune spins around. Previously it was her that was down in luck and now it was Ren Wanyan's and her daughter's turn to be unlucky. Ren Wanyan had made Wan Yinayang's daughter to be so cautious even as a shoe daughter for all these years, and practically did not have any opportunity to leave the courtyard at all. Now that Shen King is in prison, the rest of her life would only be more miserable than Shen Dongling's previous years. Go and call third young lady out to eat. She instructed the maid by her side and the maid complied before leaving. Yinayang, will master really take action on eldest young lady? Another servant asked carefully. Of course. Wan Yinayang was filled with innumerable feelings. He would definitely do so. After being husband and wife with Shen Gui for so many years, she was clearer than anyone else on what Shen Gui was actually thinking. Just now she purposely reminded so that Shen Gui will recall some things. If Ren Wanyan knew that her daughter was finally settled by her own husband, one really did not know how fun it would be. She scooped a spoonful of soup and slowly tasted it. At the same time, Shen Yuan, who was in Kaiyan Yuan, put on a cloak and walked out of the Shen residence's doors without speaking to anyone.